Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hawk Talk. I am your host, Colin Cole, and I'm bringing to you another great episode today. I'm joined by my resident guest host, Mr. David Porter, who spent his time as a Hawkeye as a 3-year starter at right tackle, also a two-time All Big Ten selection at right tackle, who currently lives up there in this great state of Chicago, the Windy City, and doing his tremendous thing out there. And of course, so happy to be able to have him on the show today. David, thank you for joining me today.
Dude, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. You know it.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And so also we have a special guest,
Yes, sir.
a gentleman who many of us Hawk fans, true Hawk fans, can remember and know that
Mm,
has set himself apart and has set himself as the number one rusher of all time in Hawkeye history. Mr. Sedrick Shaw is a gentleman who
one.
laid his foundation at the University of Iowa, set a bar at the position of running back that truly has not been reached again since. He's a gentleman who I believe was a 3-year 1,000 yard rusher. I don't know that we've had one of those since, but I got to go ahead and tell you, man, I'm a fan of yours, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, welcome to the show, Mr. Sedrick Shaw. Welcome, sir.
Thank you guys for having me, man. This is a privilege and an honor, and it's just great to be on this with fellow Hawks and guys who I've actually watched play. Whether you guys know it or not, I got to see both of you guys' career while y'all were at Iowa. So this is a pleasure and an honor for me as well.
That's awesome. You know, it's
That's
one big
phenomenal.
brotherhood. There's definitely one big brotherhood, and just like you share in that experience that we had while we were playing there, we continue to share in the experience of these Hawkeyes as we go forward. And we all have our own opinions, but our opinions are what matter for the Hawk fans out there because we have a different eye for the game than most do. So
Yeah.
let's jump right into this game, man. We played, the Hawkeyes played host to Mountain West Conference foe. The Nevada Wolfpack was the first ever meeting between those two programs. And oh my goodness, I had to wait till the following day to find out the result because I couldn't stay awake through the 7 hours worth of rain delays. But we had a 27-0 dub against those Wolf Pack, and it was a tremendous win, fellas. Let's jump right into this, man. First and foremost, the biggest thing that popped out to me was the run game. We saw a young man enter the game by the name of Caleb Johnson, true freshman. Out of hold on, let me make sure I got the right information on my man Caleb Johnson, true freshman out of 6'2", 212 pounds, out of Hamilton, Ohio. That young man was doing some things out there the other day. Sedrick, you being the resident running back on the show today, tell me what you saw out of that young man, and tell me what you saw out of that running game that was that turned the corner from what we've seen in the previous 2 weeks.
You know what? Mr. Johnson went into the game and he played very well to be so young, to be very honest with you. I was impressed with him. What I would say that I liked most about him was any and every time he was in contact situations, he had his pad level and he was falling forward. He knew when to make the right moves, but most importantly, he was hitting the hole and getting downhill, and he was trying and working and turning everything into a foot race. More or less, basically, he was telling you, "Come catch me if you can." He got in the game. He made some. He had two real big explosive runs. That goes without saying. He had two long touchdown runs. I believe a 40-yard run, the first score, and then he had a 55-yard run later in the game. But like I said, I like the way he gets downhill. Once he gets through the hole, he's working on getting downhill. It looks like he's trying to score every time he touches the ball, and that's a good thing. He even if it's only a short run, I like the attitude. I like the way he's doing it. He's looking to get down here. He's not. He's making moves when necessary. He's not what you like to say dancing in the hole. He's
Mm.
getting in the hole and he's getting through the hole, which means when you're doing that, you're getting up on the linebackers or you're getting into what we like to call the second and third level, which is your linebackers and your DBs. And then when he's getting in open field with them, he's big enough where he can run over you, he can run around you. So I like the toughness that he showed. And even in the shorter games or maybe no games, if you notice, he was always falling forward. He wasn't falling backwards. And
Mm.
those to me are good signs of a real good running back.
So Caleb had 14 carries for 116 yards total, with 2 touchdowns, as you mentioned. Definitely a spark off the bench, with Gavin Williams getting started running back. It was tremendous to see that we were able to run the ball by committee. It was tremendous to see both of those young men. Anybody who came in the backfield had an opportunity. David, what did we see differently from that offensive line that we hadn't seen in the previous 2 weeks?
What you're seeing differently right now is that this past weekend, what we saw differently was that the offensive line actually fired off on the run game, right? They got to their angles and they actually started to hang in. While we were talking about them being sticky and sticking together and double teaming out of the hole and literally driving the guy out there. That takes a lot of patience, right? Because once you engage, you have to drive, sustain, and at the last minute, come off. They have been leaving their partner behind for, I would say, for the last year or so, just too quickly. It takes patience to do that stuff. And that takes time for them to understand that. So the offensive line did a lot better firing off on the run plays. They're still on the backside. They're not cutting off as much as I would like to see, especially with like the zone scheme. Then some of the times pressing the hole up front, it naturally cuts back when you're able to cut it off. That like back when we were playing, opening up the backside gave us those big explosive runs. That really helped out. I mean, I know we had our two; those were both front side. The running game's going well. But seeing that once we get into Big Ten play is really going to start to pay dividends for us, right? Being able to sustain and push to the backside. But yeah, the running game looked really good. That offensive line looked like they were getting off. They got their hands inside. I liked seeing that. Still a few things that technique wise they got to fix. Pass protection though, they look decent. The one thing that really got to me, and we talked about this, that false start, the first play on offense. I'm just sitting here like, you watch film all week, and we talked about this. Like, they're going to stem. Like, get out of here. They're going to move. We know they're going to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you the coaches even told them, like, hey, probably even had the scout team show it to them.
Probably.
First play.
Probably so.
Flag.
First play.
Flag. Here we go.
Yeah.
So this things like that just kind of, as a former offensive lineman, just kind of really got to me. But the defense, I'm sorry, I'm switching over to defense a little bit, but I want to say something. I really like the way they did. I really like what they did and the way they did it. All right, goose egg, goose egg, goose egg, goose egg. First time all year.
First time all year, like you mentioned, the shutout. This team pitched a shutout, which is tremendous. I mean, this defense has only allowed a total of 10 points throughout the first 3 games.
First 3 games.
So it's we have to tip our hats. Wait a minute, we had 10 against Iowa State, and then what did the first game?
3.
They got 3. Okay, so
13. We had field goal.
Stand corrected. 13 total points so far this season. But you know what that does though? That actually lands them as the number 1 scoring defense in the conference. That in and of itself, allowing only 4.3 yard average a game, total of 13 points yet this season. The next closest is Minnesota with 17. So I mean, the bar set in terms of on the offensive side and what the Hawkeyes are capable of doing. It's been pretty. I mean, we got to say it was pretty tremendous. We also got to say we needed, and it was awesome to get a couple of playmakers back in Nico Reganey and Arlen Bruce has been playing, but Nico jumped back in there. And who else we get? We got who else did we get back in this past game? I can't recall. But 2 key players, 2 scholarship receivers that came back and were key contributors in the game. Nico had 5 targets with 2 receptions, 56 total yards. Arlen Bruce, man, with the touchdown on the deep shot on the wheel route, man. That was pretty.
That wheel route.
That's pretty. Yeah, that was nice.
That was pretty tremendous.
That was really nice.
And we actually had a couple of open receivers, man. We got some receivers get behind that secondary. So I'm optimistic as to how this passing game will continue to grow moving forward. And the other thing I want to say is we saw the ball get spread around. and we saw different guys make plays. Sedrick, let me ask you this: from the growth that you've seen out of, I know you've been watching these guys for the last couple of years. What the growth that you've seen out of Spencer Petras, man? What do you think? What do you think about him moving forward for the rest of going into Big Ten play? I don't want to say for the rest of the year, but going into the Big Ten play, going into obviously the more tumultuous waters, and compare and what we saw from him against Nevada. How do you feel moving forward in the quarterback situation?
What I've seen going forward, based off of this game against Nevada, I think he made big steps, leaps and bounds from the previous two games. Um, and I think that's to be commended. However, like always, you have to go back to the drawing board. You have to me personally, you look at what it is you can do better, like where you may have had some mishaps. And then I like to finish off on a good note. Then you look at what it is that you did well, and then you go from there. One of the biggest things I think we all three can agree upon when you get into the Big Ten season, we all know it's totally different from the first three preseason games. You have to, in my opinion, you have to be mentally dialed in first and foremost. You got to be mentally dialed in about what the job at hand is, the task, who the assignment is, meaning whatever team it is that we're facing that week. And you have to pretty much kind of know the ins and outs. And one of the biggest things at quarterback, your quarterback is your leader. So you got to be cool, calm, and collect. You got to be in the game at all times mentally. And I think what I saw in this past game, I seen him make some throws that he hadn't previously made in the past two games. I seen him make some decisions that he hadn't made. And then some that he did make, I seen him make them a lot quicker and making the reads and getting the ball out of his hand and getting it to the receiver. I even seen some plays where he, even if it looked like the receiver was even or the receiver was covered, he trusted his player to make a play and he gave him my opportunity. So those are things that I saw that I didn't necessarily really see the first couple of weeks. It was kind of like he was holding the ball a little too long and he was patting it, whereas this time he's making the reads and he's trusting what he's seeing and he's getting the ball out of his hand.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely saw more decisiveness in this past game. Looked like a lot more comfort in what the game plan was. It looked like he had a better grasp of what needed to be done. And, it's all about growth. I think we all take for granted sometimes how difficult it is to play that position at the collegiate level. And, for a guy who is now in his third year of starting, the pressure's on. He's obviously a senior. He wants to do everything he can to have a great, tremendous senior season. Obviously things have not gone completely the way that he has envisioned or the way that Hawkeye Nation has envisioned thus far. But this past game against the Nevada Wolfpack definitely lends an eye to what the potential of what this season can go down with. I mean, we still have the entire Big Ten season. The opportunity to win the Big Ten West is still out there. So, Dave, I got to shoot it to you real quick before we jump on the defensive side of the ball, man. What did you see in that game, man? What did you see in that game on the offensive side? What makes you optimistic?
Oh God!
What makes you optimistic?
It wasn't so much what I saw in the game; it's what I saw before the game, and then and in combination of what I saw in the game, right? And I think Spencer's at a point, and I think there was an adjustment made as well, where they kept him in shotgun, right? And that helped with him not having to drop back, and like he kept saying that it was his feet that were like throwing him off, right? So he's able to be in shotgun, get the ball, comes back sooner. He can set his feet sooner, right? And like you said, I saw he's playing with more confidence because he's able to see the field faster. That's great. And the O-line was doing a better job of protecting him. He still had people at his feet. He didn't always have a clean pocket. He did make a throw when he did not have a clean pocket and he has people at his feet. So he's definitely playing with more confidence. I think, and when I was talking about before the game, I saw a film where he said, he doesn't give a shit. That was great. Sometimes you need some moxie going out. Because at a certain point, it literally becomes, what do you have to lose? I'm a Donald Trump here. What do you have to lose? That's what he's thinking. Like, what do I have to lose? Like, literally, instead of thinking, why me? Like, shit, why not me? What the hell do I got to lose? Everybody keeps saying he has all of these natural abilities, natural athleticism, these natural attributes. Why not be the guy? Literally, what do I have to lose? I think he's starting to get that mentality. And then you start seeing that confidence because he just start taking shots. I mean, he threw one pass to Arlen Bruce. I was like, how the hell did he even get there? One time I think it was like double covered. He got it there. Went between two defenders. Like literally shot a needle. Like a hay straw through a needle. Yeah. I mean, he threaded the needle on that one. Yeah. So like he's starting to get some confidence. He's starting to get some moxie. I think that happened because he got mad. Hey, everybody was all over this man. Everybody got all over him. Right. And at a certain point, people were like, how bad could it get? We were dead last. Dead last. Literally, what do we have to lose? Go for it.
True.
Be the guy.
Very true.
Yeah.
And
go to work.
If you don't mind, I'd like to add, because you brought up some very valid points that I didn't think to bring up, but going back and looking at the game, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, and he's a rather tall quarterback. He's about 6'3", 6'4". So in them putting him in shotgun in those situations, they took advantage of his height for him being able to see. One,
it's a Patriot.
Two, if you think about it, not to say not to saying he has poor mechanics, but let's just say he's more of a typical prototype quarterback, pocket passer. What you've done in his ability, what you've done in his favor is you limit him from having to take 5 and 7 step drops. Yep. Now with him in his shotgun, all he has to do is maybe take 2 to 3 steps, and he can get the ball out of his hand. And everybody on this interview line right now knows that football, whether people know it or not, is 90% mental. It's 90% your confidence. And in doing that, they put him in a position where he can think and feel like a winner. And then when he started getting those little bitty victories, it started building up his confidence, and he got more and more. Because like David said, that one throw that he's talking about, that was a hell of just to attempt it. Said, okay, I believe, I think I can, which is great for him.
I would say the first 2 weeks, those first 2 weeks was definitely a situation where we saw them in their prototypical type of offense where they would run play actions and he would have to turn his back completely to the defense. And a lot of times he was getting blitzed, he was getting rushed, and he was unable to escape that pressure. But definitely put him in the shotgun, puts him in a position where he could see things, he could see the pressure, he could see the line, he could see the blitz, he could see the rotation. You guys know that when you obviously have to run a play pass, you got to turn your back to the defense. You don't know where things are. That pressure could be right on you within seconds, and you got to make a split decision. Those first 2 weeks, he was put in those positions, and I don't know if fully, again, we run a prototypical pro type of offense, and with that comes a lot of the stuff that we've seen, right? We can run our zone schemes, we can do everything that needs to be done off of that, but it does leave you susceptible to if you play a team that has a unique type of defense, a unique type of look, not your traditional 4-3 or traditional 3-4, it definitely creates problems in terms of how you block things up. But the offensive line did a tremendous job, particularly while Spencer was in the shotgun. And man, we got to see his true talent. And this is what the Hawkeye offense should have been looking like, or this is what we as Hawk fans has expected this Hawkeye offense to look like all season, even going into last season. So it's good to see that there's been some production. It's good to see that this group is doing a better job. So we will look to see how they continue going forward. But let's switch over to the defensive side.
Left guard in a 2-point stance. Man.
Gotta talk to him,
hey, dude, I'm sorry. You we already know what it is. I see you in your stands. Come on, man.
Man, you gotta go over to talk to him, bro. You gotta be the one to go. You the line.
Put him in a 2-point. It's a passing situation. You know what it is. Let's go. Whatever.
There you have it. So let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball. The defense again, fellas, has pitched another shutout. It was, you know what, man? I think that to see some of these guys really just adapt to what this defense calls upon them, and it's been game in, game out. It's been a tremendous effort throughout the season so far, especially to shut out a Wolfpack team that put up, I want to say, 55 points the week prior. So this was a high scoring, potent offense, not just passing the ball with Illingworth, but Tua Tawa, who has been a tremendous player for them, rushing for over 100 yards last week, was held to 31 yards. So this defense has held up to its fitting, his build. It actually continues to. This defense still ranks number one in the Big Ten scoring wise, and it's still one of the top defenses. Now I'm gonna switch. I want to hear what you got to say, Mr. Shaw. Nobody knows. A lot of people. I won't say nobody. A lot of people don't know your defensive background. So let me hear from your side, your point of view, what you've seen from this defense, from on all levels. I mean, from the front to the secondary to the guys at the linebacker level, led by our defensive starter, middle linebacker Jack Campbell. What's been your take on this defense thus far this season, and especially as we looked at this past game against Nevada?
You know what? To be very frank and to be very honest, you know what? This defense is a lot more attack style than I thought they would be. I was thinking they were going to be more of a read and react, but they have enough players in certain positions on the front, on the D line, you know, your position, to actually do some attacking, where they're playing in the offensive backfield. They're getting in there and being disruptors. They're not playing, you know, they're being more of a one gap style of a defense. They're not being two gap where they're reading and reacting. They're actually reacting, causing the offense to have to react as opposed to take action. And I like that from the defensive line standpoint. And the young kid that they had, with the size 17 shoe, the kid, he's been consistent the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. Talking about Nate Ness. No, not
Nate.
He that's not.
I can't. No. Yeah, I'm not. I can't think of his name.
But Van Ness.
Van Ness.
Lucas Van Ness.
Yeah.
Baby Huey. Yeah, yes. We're gonna call him Baby Huey. I like Baby Huey a lot.
Yeah, he's still growing.
He is. Know, he's got one more growth spurt in him, I hope.
And the thing about it is, what I like is that they're attacking. One thing I always say about the defense over the past 10 to 12 years in Iowa is that they're always really fundamentally sound. They don't make a lot of mental mistakes. For you to capitalize on them, you either have to just be physically superior with athletic ability on the field, or you just have to execute, because they don't typically make a lot of mental mistakes. So those things I commend them on. The guys, to me, they're a real cohesive unit. They play well off of one another. Like I said, to me, it's always seems like they're mentally into the game from a defensive standpoint. And they, for the most part, they're always in the right place at the right time in the right position. It's not a lot of, I'm just making a play based off of my athletic ability. It's fundamentals along with the athletic ability. And I have an admiration for that, because, hey, that's why I started out playing football, was on the defensive side. But I joined my brother.
Welcome
David
to the dark side
on the offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. But hey, listen.
I'm glad you got right. Kid, perfect.
Thank you. But as a kid, I tell anybody, my room was believe it or not, even though I played defense. No. But even though I played defense, even young growing up, my wall growing up was full of posters of nothing but offensive players, like Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton. So I had nothing but offensive players on my wall. So I guess it was meant to be. It worked out how I was supposed to.
Yeah. It worked out. Hey, listen, it's hard to say that it didn't work out, because you still hold the record for all-time leading rusher in Iowa's history. So I will give you that credit. But I had some offensive players up on my wall in my room too. I mean, I had Jerry Rice.
Wow.
Hey, that's a good one.
But that didn't mean
you should have been a center. You should have been a center. It would have been great.
if they were handing me the ball, if they were looking for a Natron Means or a Jerome
There
Bettis
you go.
backfield, then
Hey, man.
I would be on the offensive side.
This big guy wants to be a running back, a receiver. Like, hey,
blocking.
I want to be
Anyways,
Refrigerator
we're
Perry.
gonna keep on with
No,
this.
I
We're gonna
believe
keep
in
to the
you.
defensive
Hey,
side.
quick question for you, who does Van Ness remind you of, Mr. D Line?
Who does he remind me of?
Yeah,
Right now,
body type wise.
he reminds me of Matt Roth a little bit, body type wise. That's what I got for you.
Really?
You got
I was
somebody
going to
else?
ask that. Say that.
He's not as tall as Say that.
You talking about Ed?
Not. Yeah.
No, he's not as tall as Ed Say that right
he's
now.
not as
Maybe
tall as
eventually.
No. I think he's going to roll into it.
Yeah, he might, man.
Kinda...
We'll see. We'll see.
Whatever. Raw. Yeah, maybe.
That's what I got. That's what hey man, I gotta go with
that's a good comparison
because again he got
size, though.
The dude had 1.5 sacks and 2.5 TFLs. So he's definitely making some plays like your boy Matt Roth used to do back in the day. So that was my immediate comparison. My immediate comparison. But again, held to a shutout. We had the pick by Cooper DeJean. That young man is he had an opportunity. He might got his hands on the ball again earlier in the game on that sideline. And as a freshman, that young man is showing us some potential. And so with him and everybody else we got in that secondary, David, with the turnovers that we creating, what do you feel this defense is capable of going forward? I mean, we saw what they did pitching the shutout, only allowing 13 points thus far this season. What is this defense capable of?
This defense is capable of scoring points, like more points. Like Cooper DeJean, that one time he got his hand on the ball, he undercut that out, right? On the left side, that's 6 points. The defense has that ability right now. We can. I want to start to put expectations on them to score touchdowns. Like they have that kind of ability to where they're ball hawks. That defensive line is starting to come together. We know we got the All-American Jack Campbell in the middle there, right? We can start to put some expectations. Hey guys, y'all, you get your hand on the ball. Let's go. Like getting interceptions for these guys, they're better than they were last year. The numbers are showing it. They really are. I think we can start to say, hey, we can expect some points from our defense. That's a great thing. I think we're almost there.
Yep.
That's a valid point. No, the thing of it is to challenge yourself. You guys are making a lot of great points. And the thing of it is I think the defense at this point in time, they are further along. And I think Dave is actually right, man. They need to challenge themselves. You're playing well, you're playing consistent. So now what are the things that we can do now to take ourselves to the next level? And like he said, the next level is continue to create turnovers. But once you create these turnovers, turn them into points. You know, and that will make a major difference in some games. And you never know when you might need it. So you might as well take advantage, get in the mindset of doing it now. You know, in practice, when you get a pick, don't just stop and celebrate, man. Run it to the end zone. So when you get in the game, your mind is already on doing that when you actually get into the game. But yeah, it's the little things. We all know from being there, it is the little things.
Yeah, man. These guys are special.
It really is. Defensively and special teams have been the cornerstones of this team thus far this season. Oddly enough, our Ozzy Bomber did not have the longest punt of the game. It's crazy to think that Nevada's punter actually had a 70-yard punt in the game. So
wow,
that was something, right? But regardless, Hawkeye special teams is and has been a cornerstone of this team. And pinning the Nevada Wolfpack offense back deep a number of times, creating that long field for that team, really made it a long night for them, really. So, you know, we know what the Ozzy Bomber has done, Mr. Taylor has done throughout the season. All three facets are important to us. Where do we need to pick it up? What are we lacking right now, special teams wise, to take us to that next level? Because we still have aspirations of winning the Big Ten West. That's still out there for this team, and getting back to the Big Ten dance. So What in the special teams, and if there's anything else that you guys can think of that might be an area that of concern that needs to be worked on, what do you guys think in that regard?
I would say, as far as special teams, continue to practice them, continue to work on it, continue to improve. Um, they are doing some things really, really good. However, that you can always get better. You can always better your best. Uh, when you're out there, guys, make that extra block. Make that extra run. Hey, if you got a chance to block the punt, block the punt. You got a chance to run it back on the kickoff return, run it back. If you got a chance to return the punt, return the punt. Don't take those little small things for granted, and don't let it slip past you. If you got a chance to make a big play on kickoff, man, make that big play, because that's going to carry over to everywhere else. And I don't think sometimes guys who play special teams realize just how important it is. Personally, for me, the very first time I ever touched the ball in Kinnick Stadium, some people may know, some may not know, it was special teams. It was kickoff return. So those are the things you have to do them. So don't take for what you're doing lightly, and do it to the best of your abilities. They had some big plays. In my personal opinion, I saw some plays on special teams, especially in punt return, that were really good. Personally, I would have liked to seen them been bigger, because in looking at it, I thought they left a little bit out there on the field. There were some really big returns that I thought could have been even bigger, if not possibly scores. And that's not to be critical. That's just to be looking at what I saw when you're looking at the totality of the play, and when you looked at where people were positioned on the field. To me, I think you left a little food out there on the table.
There it is.
I agree with you on that one. We're still trying to settle in on who's going to be our returner, right? That we're still trying to figure that out. And we had Charlie Jones. We knew what that was. This year we came in, we didn't quite know what that was going to be like. And we've been kind of playing a carousel back there. We had our starting DV back there, our All-American starting defensive back there, right?
Riley Moss.
We've had Riley Moss is back there. We had Arlen Bruce back there. Now we have Caleb Johnson back there as well. Caleb is, hopefully he gets more chances actually playing in the traditional offense, that they take him off of that. But, we're still figuring that out. But for these guys, they've been, I think, rock solid. They need to continue to be rock solid for us as they're still figuring things out, right? And really push themselves to get better, right? There's room there. And if we can all challenge ourselves, and let's say if they can all challenge themselves to, do those little things, like Seth was saying, the little things that make a difference, and come in there with that attitude. All right, be that guy. Be the guy that makes that block. Be that guy that takes the ball back 100 yards or 99 yards for a touchdown. Be that guy.
There you go.
Right, that shift in how you think is a great thing. Sustaining is great, but push to get better. Let us see that week in, week out. I think we're going to be pretty happy with how this whole thing ends up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good take. I think it's definitely, there's still room, and a lot of room for improvement. This team has a lot of things going for them. Still a very young team in a lot of positions, particularly up front. I know that early on in the game, the guys up front on the offensive side definitely looked like they had some rhythm as things got late in the game, especially after the rain delays. It began to break down a little bit on them, but this group is continuing to grow, which is going to continue to help everybody else in the skill positions. So I'm excited to see where this team goes, and especially how the guys up front grow, because as they grow, this whole entire team will grow. And I'm excited to see how they're able to finish out the season. Now, before we take off, Mr. Shaw, let me get a favorite moment as a Hawkeye at Kinnick Stadium.
Favorite moment in Kinnick Stadium as a Hawkeye? That is a great question. Man, I have a lot of fond memories in Kinnick. I think probably my fondest moment was my actual senior year and the last time we played in Kennett. So in 1996, senior day, that was probably my fondest. That was probably my fondest moment because at that moment I realized that I would never play in that stadium again, and I had been there for like 4 or 5 years, and it's like it was really like, damn, it's like this is really it.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say that would probably be my fondest moment as a Hawkeye. You know, on top of them all, there's a lot. I'm pretty sure people probably would be surprised that I would pick that. They would think it's something else. But nah, just walking out. You guys experienced it, walking out, being a senior, and knowing this is your last time playing at this place where you consider to be home.
Yep.
So that would be my fondest. That would be my fondest moment as a Hawkeye, considering all of the ones that I've had the opportunity to share with my teammates.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember that last game there as well. I know, David, I know you remember that last game because you actually had it twice. Yeah, that last
I can only have one last game. I can only have one last game.
You had two senior. You had
tossing that out there. I'm just going to toss
games.
that out there to you. I'm just like, what do you want me to do here? Okay.
Go ahead. You gonna act like I'm not talking about?
No, I'm sorry. I was just listening to you. No, what do you want me to hear?
You don't act like you didn't come out in 2001. You act like you didn't go out with the seniors in 2001 and then come out with us again in 2002. Wow. You don't act like that didn't happen.
Wow.
That's what I got to make sure I make that reference for everybody watching. That, yeah, he walked out 2001 as a senior, then walked out 2002 as a senior. You know what? We're going to leave it at where it's at. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Colin Cole. I really appreciate y'all joining us for Hawk Talk.
You know what?
For David Porter and for our guest hosts out on the show today, Hawkeye all-time leading rusher, Mr. Sedrick Shaw. We really appreciate you gracing us with your presence today. Your insight was
thank you, brother.
And I will be awesome to have you back on the show at some point during the season. Thank you, sir.
Anytime, guys. It's my pleasure, man. I truly enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again for tuning in. We appreciate you all. God bless and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
All right.